All right, we're here with some early access on Bashiva, the White Tiger, and the Tigermen of Cathay. And I haven't done too much testing, so we didn't get that much time of early access and stuff. But initial thoughts coming up. We'll have I don't know. This DLC isn't huge, so I might just do an initial thoughts video on a bunch of stuff. So first up, Bashiva is everything I ever wanted out of a Footlord. And it's something I've been arguing for Queek and like Gorok and maybe Sigvald or like other combat Footlords. Well, that's a different video that I've already done, but essentially I argue they either need like a big debuff to give you a reason to go fight them and kill them to get rid of the debuff, or to have them clear out chaff infantry. And Bashiva does the chaff infantry part. Her little fancy portal is nice, but I didn't even take that here. I took her just her base kit, no items, nothing. And I'm gonna have her compared to the Celestial General. So I brought the Celestial General just because he's another foot combat lord. He can take him out, of course, but I brought him on foot. And you can see he has 57 melee attack, while Bashiva has 65. And he has 400 weapon strength, a lot of it armor piercing, while Bashiva has 500 weapon strength. Not as much of it armor piercing, actually. 20 bonus for symmetry is also quite nice. Oh wait, no, she is. Yeah, she has a little more armor piercing, but they're roughly comparable is all I'm trying to say. Now her animations are beautiful. You've seen them on the Total War showcases. I'll show a little bit here, but then I'm going to fast forward to get to my point. So while she is cleaving through, the Celestial General is starting to get in. And I noticed this when having her disrupt archers or fight anything else really, is she murders infantry. So let's stop here. Right, they've been fighting for the same amount of time. Celestial General has gotten about 240 value on the Forsaken. She's gotten about 480. So it's roughly double. And why I point out their combat stats, are hers better? Of course, but they're not double the Celestial Generals. So it's probably, well, I've had some people explain it to me who are smarter about the game's code than I am, but it sounds like it's her animation set. It's just really good for killing infantry. And I would hope we could get more infantry killing lords like that. So it's like, okay, if you take Grimgor Ironhide or Queek Headtaker, and you throw them into the front line, right? And because that's the problem with Footlords, is you can just chuck cheap garbage at them and they get stuck forever and they can't kill it to get out of there. Well, I do want more combat Footlords to be like this. Again, combat Footlords, not all Footlords, but like Queek, Grimgor, stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, if you throw cheap garbage at them, they'll get stuck in it and they can't get out, but they will murder everyone right next to them until you send something better. And we can maybe go into it in a little bit. I don't want this video to be too long, but Bashiva in my limited testing is not overpowered. She comes at a decent price point. She is a foot character with decent mass, but a foot character, so she can get stuck. And she's very squishy and generally does not do well against other combat single entities, whether they're like large monsters or like Sigvald. I had her fight Sigvald and she lost. So like, she's really cool, really unique, does different stuff, and her niche seems to be either hunting down like mage heroes or like non-combat supportive heroes or lords, or running down archers, running down anybody who's weaker than her and just doing a ton of damage very quickly. But she loses to high tier infantry. Like I had her fight Immortals and she lost pretty badly. So yeah, she's definitely better at killing anything that is weaker than her. And you can see she did take a decent amount of damage from this Forsaken, so it's not like for free. Celestial General is going to lose to his Forsaken, but didn't get as much damage out. Eventually he started catching up because Bashiva spent her time chasing down her Forsaken, but we pointed out earlier that she did a lot of damage very quickly. She's also really good at clearing out archers with that. And again, it's not just disrupting archers. That's usually what you say about single entity foot characters. But why I'm really impressed with her, and I hope CA adjusts some other foot characters they want to be menacing, is that she actually killed the archers very quickly for a foot character. All right, moving on to the next units, the Tiger Warriors. These are the basic axe variant, and I'm trying them versus some honest competition. They are 900 gold, so I'm playing them against Demonettes and Bloodletters. Both are 800 gold. And these guys are high weapon strength anti-infantry fighters, so I didn't bring them against anything with armor. They're going to charge in. They even get a free charge on the enemy because it is sandbox mode. So the Tiger Warriors get in there and start fighting. Now the Demonettes fare quite poorly when charged, as we can see, but the Bloodletters are going to hold for a little bit. So the Tigermen are actually 100 gold more expensive, and they got the charge. So you would hope that they would do very well. It looks like against the Demonettes, that does seem to be the case. Getting a lot of good damage out. Killing those spooky ladies of Slaanesh. But against the Bloodletters, things are a little bit more even. Khorne's boys hardier, and without that impact, the Tiger Warriors are going to start losing. So versus the Demonettes, the Tiger Warriors made quick work of them. Versus the Bloodletters, it is going to be harder. And as I hit fast forward here, you can see the Tigermen are starting to fade in their efficacy, so they will retreat. So do trade poorly against Bloodletters that are 100 gold less than them. Bloodletters are very good, though. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but just assessing the units. We have the Tiger Warrior Stalkers with their 2-time use little rings that they throw on their way in. They're kind of like chameleon stalkers from the Lizardmen. These are versus just basic Marauders. But armor-piercing weapon strength, decent melee stats, a little bit of physical resistance. So they're kind of like a hybrid between chameleon stalkers and gutter runners, I guess you'd say. But I don't know. They have less models than the other Tigermen, who have 80. And they have less HP. Those guys have 8,000. These guys have 6,000. So that, I'll give my overall thoughts on the Tiger Warriors in a second, but yeah, they are not going to have the best time versus the Marauders. They'll win, but they're taking a lot of damage for it. Like, the Marauders gotten almost 400 value. The Tiger Warrior Stalkers have gotten 200. And again, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I know you're screaming at your screen right now. Well, they're not supposed to fight chaff infantry. We'll get there. Anyway, regular Tiger Warriors versus not Bloodletters, versus low-tier infantry. They are just massacring the Marauders, and they're taking very little damage in return. A bit here and there, but overall it is a great trade. So they do seem to be better at punching down. Then I bring up the Ironclaw Tiger Warriors, the third one we get in this. So you have the Assassin Stalkers with little shurikens and armor-piercing weapon strength. Then you have regular Tiger Warriors and the Ironclaws. The Ironclaws are the best. They are the most expensive at 1,200, while the Stalkers are 1,100. But it's really their very good melee defense, really solid armor piercing and bonus versus large, and then still high speed, high leadership. They just kind of truck through everything. I don't know. I've really been enjoying the Ironclaws, and they're better against cavalry because of their bonus versus large, of course. But they're still not bad against infantry. Like, they're tearing up the Marauders. And with that super high melee defense, they take very little damage in response. Some Marauders are going to get pushed off super quickly. I forget what test I was going to do next. I have those guys just move out of the way. Oh, I think it's the Chaos Warriors. Or is it? No, let's find out. Oh, okay. I'm going to test them versus Slongors and Plague Bears. So the Tiger Warriors beat Demonettes when they got a free charge. They lost to Bloodletters. They beat Marauders. So I'm going to see how they do versus Slongors. Now remember, Tiger Warriors are 900 gold. Slongors are 650. And my guys just got a free charge on them. A lot of damage on the Slongors immediately on the charge. And then versus Plague Bears, again, I think Plague Bears are 700 infantry. I don't think they're even 800 like the Bloodletters are. So these are two 900 gold infantry versus significantly cheaper. And the Tiger Warriors get in there. At first, it was looking good versus the Slongors, but now the Slongors have charged up that passive of theirs, Pleasure Through Pain. They're starting to punch back pretty good. The Tiger Warriors' morale is fading. Plague Bears taking a lot of damage. Again, on the charge, things are going well for the Tiger Warriors because they have a high charge bonus and because the sandboxing opponents do not charge back. But at times 2 speed, the Slongors are actually going to hold on and push off the Tiger Warriors. And the Plague Bears hold on, as Nurgle does, and just kind of slug it out with the Tiger Warriors. So in this case, the Tiger Warriors beat Marauders handedly. They lost to Bloodletters, which are 100 gold cheaper. They lost to Slongors, which are 250 gold cheaper. And they lost to Plague Bearers, which are 200 gold cheaper. So the Tiger Warriors, the basic dual axe ones, are very underwhelming to me. But I'll give my closing thoughts once we're done with the unit tests. Now the Tiger Warrior Stalkers are running in, throwing their shurikens at Chaos Warriors. I just wanted to see if their armor piercing was going to do well versus the Chaos Warriors. And of course we have the Ironclaw Tiger Warriors, the Halberds once again, jumping in there. On the charge, of course, using your shurikens and getting a free charge bonus, the Tiger Warrior Stalkers are going to do quite well. And the Ironclaws push in. Now this is actually going better for the Stalkers than the Marauders in a way, because they are taking more damage, but it's like they are fighting a better opponent than the Marauders, and their armor piercing is doing significant work versus the Chaos Warriors. So that is one use case where they're pretty good, but they are still 1100 gold, which is a lot. Their shurikens do decent damage, but they only have 2 ammunition. Meanwhile, the Ironclaw Tiger Warriors are cutting through these fools, and they're still gonna have half HP left over. And again, this is not even what they're supposed to be fighting. They're halberd troops, so you'd wanna use them to fight cavalry or monsters or single entities. So it is crazy that they're just trucking through Chaos Warriors like this. Very strong unit indeed. But the Stalkers eventually end up losing. I forgot to hit record and I just went through everything. God. Now I didn't record. Okay, we'll do it again. There's new units and there's reworked units. We're gonna go through the new units first for the first time. This is the first time I'm talking about them. I can't believe I forgot to hit record. That bothers me. Okay, so as you saw in the unit tests, let's talk about the Tiger Warriors first, not the heroes and lords. So I guess the first time I recorded this, it was a bit rambly, and I've crystallized my thoughts, so I can actually do this better this time. Some people have been talking about and criticizing that a lot of factions in Warhammer are losing their identities. I disagree, but I do see where those people are coming from. But they'll say things like, I feel like with every DLC, rosters are becoming less and less unique and everybody has everything. Like, for example, people will say, well, with all these DLCs, everybody's getting like flying monsters. Everybody's getting heavy cavalry. Everybody's getting monstrous frontline melee units or whatever. And it's like, factions that are used to specialize in those things are getting less and less special. And sure, there are things like the Beastmen still don't have heavy cavalry. Dwarves still don't have cavalry of any kind. True, but more and more rosters are getting more and more things. Yes, but where I argue is that not all things are created equal. Like, Norska's light infantry are better than the Empire's light infantry. Or Bretonia's light infantry. Like, pound for pound, berserkers could kill their weight in peasants pretty easily and keep going, right? Forsaken can kill their weight in skeleton warriors of the Tomb Kings and keep going. So just having melee infantry doesn't mean all melee infantry are created equal. Just having heavy cavalry doesn't mean all heavy cavalry are created equal. Britannia's heavy cav outperform a lot of other cavalry of the same price point. Like, so these rosters do have specialties, and just because other rosters have the type of unit your roster specializes in doesn't mean you're not unique. It's because your stuff is the best. So that's where I think the uniqueness comes from. But on the surface, if you just see, you're like, well, the Empire has heavy cavalry, how are they any different than Britannia? It's like, Empire Knights and Knights of the Realm are not the same. And that's how I feel about the Tiger Warriors. The Tiger Warriors, as you saw in the unit tests, are actually a little underwhelming. They lost to Slongors. They lost to Plague Bears and Bloodletters. They beat Demonettes. They beat basic Marauders. The Tiger Warriors are on the worse side of aggressive infantry, but I do think their addition is cool because it gives Cathay that threat, that option, where now, instead of just saying, okay, I need to either body Peasant Long Spears or body Jade Warriors. Now you're like, ooh, but what do I do if they bring the Tigermen? Because, like, if you go Death Runners for the Skaven, right? Death Runners are going to murder the Peasant Warriors. Death Runners are going to murder the Jade Warriors. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm going to take 4 of them. I'm just going to kill these idiots. Well, Tiger Warriors will beat them because on the charge, they'll do so much damage that they'll shock the Skaven into routing. So now you need to, like, okay, maybe take 1 or 2 Death Runners, but then I also might want to take maybe Globes to get through the front line or Rat Ogres just in case I have to deal with the Tigermen. So it makes your opponent consider that they exist, but they themselves are not actually that good. They're whatever. And I think that's fine. I think CA might have been intentional with that one. For the regular 900 gold Tiger Warrior, I think they're slightly suboptimal, but they're workable. They're fine. on the other, so that's the dead middle, and then I have completely opposite opinions about these two. For 1100 gold, the Tiger Warrior Stalkers are, in my opinion, and pre-change, you could see the stats in front of you, so if those aren't the stats that are live, then CA buffed them real quick before the thing. I think these are terrible. For 1100 gold, which, to remind you, Chosen are 1250. For 1100 gold, they lose 2000 HP over their 900 gold counterparts. And they get armor piercing and those little bolas they throw 2 of. And they get some physical resistance and stuff, whatever. But they don't have enough ammo, they don't have enough stopping power, and they don't have enough speed to be good skirmish units. But then they also don't have enough health or defensive capabilities to be good in melee. They're kind of like Chameleon Stalkers, but almost double the cost of Chameleon Stalkers for the Lizardmen. Like, I just think they're too expensive to do what they want to be doing. I think they kind of fail at all categories at an insanely high price point. I think the Tiger Warrior Stalkers are pretty terrible. And then on the other side, I think Ironclaw Tiger Warriors are amazing. Oh, I think these guys are so good. Really high melee defense with decent speed and charge bonus for a halberd infantry. They crush cavalry, obviously. They kill single entities, obviously. But as you saw in the test example, they also kill infantry pretty well. And with that high melee defense, they take very little damage in return. So these guys are really solid all-rounders. They're just so good. I actually expect to see them probably every other game of Cathay. I think they're good even in defensive builds because you can just like... I think in a defensive build, you're only going to see one. But I think it's a backline sweeper that just like runs around and kills off cavalry that's trying to get to your ranged units, or fights giant flying monsters that try and land on your Iron Hail Gunners and stop them from shooting, or like stop an Iron Demon of the Chaos Dwarves. The Ironclaw Tiger Warriors are amazing. And then the late game, they're still good at like killing any infantry that's left over, as you saw in the little example. So for 1200 gold, yeah, these guys are a steal. They're really good. And it's nice to see some good elite infantry out there, but I don't know. We'll see if they're OP, but I think they're pretty good. So that's my thoughts on the actual warriors. Is basic Tiger Warriors are, I think, intentionally slightly suboptimal. Stalkers, I think, need a buff badly to even be a unit to consider taking ever. And the Ironclaw Tiger Warriors are either, if they're intended to work how they work, then they're great and a really solid addition. If they're maybe a little overpowered, you might see a quick nerf. On to the single entities, the Lords and Heroes. So the Tiger Warrior Sawai is kind of cool, and he has one niche thing that like gives units terror if they're on fire. If they're on fire, they get flaming attacks and armor piercing damage, and they cause terror while getting flame resistance. That is very niche, but where it's good would be versus Chaos Dwarves in the late game. You could give Peasant Long Spears terror against any of the main lords, because if you look, like, their little pistols do fire damage, but also if they're on their mounts, they do fire damage in melee. Astragoth does fire. So any of the Chaos Dwarf lords, or like some of their infantry or any of the ranged units, start your peasants on fire. And then if this guy's around, your peasants all just cause terror, which makes them immune to terror, and they'll do a lot more damage. So I could see him being good in some niche matchups, but I really don't think you're going to see him much online. You might see him in campaign, obviously. You can just take whatever you want in campaign, it's fine. He's a decent frontline fighter guy. He's okay. I think the main reason you're not going to see him is because Grand Cathay has some truly great lords, and he is just like good. But he is good. Not a lot of complaints there. You're still going to see Zhao Ming most games. You might see Bashiva because of the Claw Speaker, but we'll get to him. So Bashiva is actually pretty well balanced in my opinion. White Tiger doesn't affect herself, but it buffs other Tiger Warriors. Generally, I'd just cut it. I'd keep her slow and melee defense debuff because it can affect anybody, not just Lords and Heroes, which there are some Skaven units that still only affect Lords and Heroes, and we got to change that. Her teleport's good for getting her out of situations. It does some damage, but not that much. So I think maybe you take it, maybe you don't in some games. And then her Blades of Shangyang is neat, but if you're trying to just save on cost, you can easily cut it and not really feel too bad. But she is really good at clearing out infantry, pretty bad at dueling other strong units like heavy cavalry that's actually good. I mean, Empire Knights she'll do okay, but like Grail Knights, she's gonna have a bad time. monsters generally not her thing. So she can be solid. She's relatively well priced, but the problem with trying to see her on her own is Zhao Ming exists, and he's like a decent duelist, but also a caster, but also tanky, but also causes terror. So there's just a lot going on there. Bashiva's fine. And I do think you'll see her with the Claw Speaker, which we'll get to. For the heroes, oh, Tao Yan is terrible. She's terrible. She can't clear infantry. She takes a lot of damage from infantry. She has a crazy low health pool. She's kind of meant to be anti-large armor piercing, like a duelist, but then any monster I threw at her just kicked her ass. She's really expensive. I don't know. She just kind of sucks. Her Tyrant's Talent is neat. It inflicts some like bleeding, but that wears off quickly, and then it's on a long cooldown, so I don't know. She just doesn't do anything. She's too expensive. She's pretty bad. Like most legendary heroes, she's pretty terrible. And then the Claw Speakers. So maybe the best individual unit of the DLC. The only problem for them is they're not a Lord, they're a hero. If they were a Lord, you'd see this probably every game. Well, not every game. Zhao Ming's still solid, but you'd see them a lot. Because they can be relatively cheap if you cut them down. You could grab like one ability and a spell, and they're barely above 1,000 gold. Decently fast caster Lord with okay melee stats. And then they give you access to Lore of Beasts, Life, and Shadows, which Cathay only got life through Miao Ying's hybrid. So it is a new Lores of Magic for Cathay. But they're a hero, which means you're probably going to see him with Bashiva, because you wouldn't want to pay Zhao Ming's high price if he's not going to be your primary caster, and this person is, which is still 1,000 gold. You'll sometimes see like an alchemist with Zhao Ming, but they usually just take it with like something like this price point, and it's like, okay, that's 500 gold, so he's double that price. But the Claw Speakers have the thing that the Kislev Hags have, where they all have different abilities depending on their lore. All of them get this Explosion Crystal of Kunlan. It's okay, it's solid. But the Beast guy gets, when he casts for 20 seconds, other Tiger Warriors get Unyielding Assault, meaning their melee attack can't go down. And then he can also buff nearby Tiger Warriors with Sundering Armor and plus 24 melee attack on a cooldown. That's okay. It's not great. It's not great. So the Beast guy is pretty underwhelming. The Shadows guy, I think, is the second best. Beast is the worst out of the three. Because he has Mysticism of Kamau, which is terrible. For 200 gold, you get magic attacks for 24 seconds for only Tigermen when you're casting. No, it's bad. You want to cut that. But he does have Arcane Hymn, a really good Winds of Magic recharge and power reserve spell, meaning you could like spell kite with him in the late game, but that's pretty tough to do with only 44 speed, and Cathay has no kiting tools, so I think that'd be much more dangerous on a faction like Wood Elves or Tzeentch or something. But he's still going to be a strong caster, and Shadows is a great Lore of Magic. But I think the Life caster is going to be the most common. Lore of Life is consistently good, but he has Protection of Kamau, which you can cut 10% physical resistance for only Tiger Warriors, only when he's casting, only for a little bit. It's pretty bad. Skip that. But he has this thing, the Mantra of Invigoration. Vigor and heal recovery, about a regrowth's worth for other Tigermen that he can cast on a cooldown. So he is a Tigerman, and so is Bashiva. So I could see you just wanting a life caster. So let's just mind game this out. Grab Earthblood, Life Bloom, Mantra, cuz thing. 1,150 gold. And then Bashiva, give her just her thing. You now have these two for 2,450 gold. But he can cast that regrowth on her and himself, and you can just spam Earthbloods on everybody else. You're probably going to heal cap definitely these two, right? And that could be pretty strong. I don't know if it'll be like the default, but I could see it in several games where maybe you don't take Zhao Ming. Zhao Ming's still probably the best Lord individually, but I could see this combo being pretty good. So there's all the new units for the second time, and I did hit record. But we still have reworks to go through, so just hang tight. All right, so here we have mostly units that have gotten reworks, and you can see the Gate Master is here. He got a new double ability, Implacable Spirit and Wall Veteran. Both do the same thing, but one only affects him and one affects other range units near him. So they give you 40% range, 25% armor piercing, missile damage, and missile resistance if he sits still, which he gets both. So his range increases to 300. He is a 300 range little sniper guy. Look at that crazy range on him now. But I don't know. I feel like his damage has been pretty whatever when I've been trying it. And sometimes he's a little janky, like you saw there. He was in range of the Iron Demon, but he decided to move forward anyway, which seems odd. But he also stole Sea Lord Aislin's Master of Mists, because, I mean, that's similar to what the Sea Lord does. So if he stands still, it takes 50 seconds to proc, so it takes quite a while. Definitely have to be stationary. And then it'll affect these guys, and you see now their range extends there, whereas their cousins only go that far. So he's gonna poke at that distance, but I need to scooch everybody up just a teensy bit, because they were actually technically slightly out of range of the front line. And while I wait for them to get into the front line, why don't we move you guys up? Okay, so we have 30-ish seconds. Oh. No, 20 more seconds, sorry. So we can see those Grace of Kian are firing. And then they're waiting for the next volley. These guys are going to get their increased range in 3, 2, 1. Bam. So now they can shoot. And we'll see. So they're both firing right now. And by the time that volley ends, the other volley is about to begin. So just increased fire rate, increased distance, theoretically increased damage. Though I have noticed it doesn't increase their accuracy, it just increases their range. So a lot more of the arrows actually miss, which is something you're gonna have to watch out for. They don't actually get that much increased DPS. But it's kind of neat for the Gate Master. Might be a reason to bring him here or there. It's just kind of a neat little thing where he can stand in a defensive formation and hold. So while I get them off the screen, we have some more of the neat changes. Terracotta Sentinels are still probably pretty bad, but they went from being abysmal to being just kind of bad. But they did get improved attacks, I guess you'll call it. I'm just gonna have her go fight that. So they don't have collision attacks per se, but they just got like better attacks in general, better splash damage. They generally do more damage versus stuff. As I forgot, the Granite Guard are gonna absolutely rip me to shreds because sandbox mode doesn't stop you from shooting me. Oopsie poopsie. Ah, but now he's reflecting it, idiot. Got him. But anyway, as you can see, that charge already did more damage than a Terracotta Sentinel would usually do in about 35 minutes of combat. Though his range deflection is still really buggy because you can see these guys are actually still hitting him because a lot of his range deflection just doesn't do that much damage. But this one is getting decent damage out on the Immortals. So they've just kind of gotten better at harassing infantry specifically. Against other monsters, they're still pretty shit duelists. Against other single entities in general, they're just pretty bad. So there's that. But they kill infantry decently quickly when in melee now. A little more responsive. Again, they're getting shot to pieces because I forgot that Sandbox mode doesn't stop that, but that's what it is. So this is Tao Yan. She just kind of sucks. This Iron Demon is whooping her ass, and she's out of here. And the Iron Demon, I mean, 700 value, she got a couple attacks in. Got 600 value herself, I suppose, but that was like a best case scenario. And she's terrible at clearing out infantry. She's terrible at a lot of things, and she's really expensive, so I don't know. I just think she's generally garbage. That wasn't the best showcase for her, but trust me, even the best showcase isn't very good. And then why do I have War Balloons? Because they're fast now. War Balloons got a little bit of rework. They have 60 speed now, so they're flying. And the Alchemist can ride one. So you can have a balloon caster for Grand Cathay with decent 60 speed. Woo. Go balloons, go. That is a doubling of their speed. They're still pretty slow, but they can do some decent poke now. They can actually get around the map okay. And the Alchemist could be off the ground if you're worried about her getting sniped out, but you're not against a particularly heavy ranged faction. So I could see the Alchemist being taken in it. I still don't think you're going to see the Lord Magistrate much or the regular Sky Lantern, but you might see the Alchemist up in one of these sometime soon as she's zipping around at the speed of sound. Still very weak to range fire though. So don't take her versus like Skaven or I guess Chaos Dwarves. There's better things to do with your money. All right, because the Terracotta Sentinels didn't really get to shine due to all the ranged units, I got rid of all those pesky ranged units. I did forget that the auto-gen armies are all triple gold chevron for some reason, but it is what it is. I mean, these guys do well against them anyway, so that's actually more proving my point. This Terracotta Sentinel is standing in Infernal Guard with great weapons, so that's a pretty strong anti-monster unit. This other one's just standing in Chaos Dwarf Warriors, so you can see the difference there. But yeah, it's doing significantly more damage in melee with infantry than it was before. And now Taoyuan, not getting shot by shotguns or a flamethrower on the way in, is fighting some hobgoblins, and sure, they're triple gold chevron, but she's still gonna do her best. And poke them in the chest. Yeah, Terracotta Sentinels doing significantly better than they did before the patch for them. This one's trading okay with Infernal Guard, and this is a death sentence for most large units. You should not be Infernal Guard like this, so I'm just showing that it does relatively well. And then this guy, who's not an armor-piercing armor-piercing elite infantry, he's barely taking any damage. He's already taken out half of Chaos Dwarf Warrior. Taoyuan is killing Hobgoblin Cutthroats. But now you're back. Sneak around. And now we go and fight that Skullcracker. Is it? Oh, it's... no, it's fighting back. Alright, it's not even turning to face her, but it is fighting back. Okay. My first Terracotta Sentinel is going to die after he took out half of Infernal Guard. Not a lot of value, but still, he was in the worst situation you could possibly be in, so that's something. And Skullcracker does have bonus for symmetry, so I guess it should be fighting back well against Taoyuan. But it's kind of trading even, and she's 400 gold more expensive with the kit I brought her with. So that's not good. Yeah. These are these two units. I don't think the Terracotta Sentinel is great. I think it has a couple matchups where it could be okay, but I don't think it's great. And I think Taoyuan is trash, but sure, if you get a side charge onto a chariot that's not going to respond in any way, then I guess she can kind of do okay. But she still lost half her HP. And then when she fights elite infantry, I mean, she just gets wrecked. Rip. There you go. That's all the units and reworks of the Grand Cathay DLC. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.